Hello everyone. Welcome back to another RLcraft guide and tutorial. In this guide and tutorial, we'll be doing a beginner's guide on summoning and getting familiars. We will be diving in a little bit deep into what summoning is and what it does for you here in RLcraft, but it will not get into very many specifics, but it'll get you just enough information to get you by in this game. And if you want to dig deeper, I'll post a link down below in the description on the website where you can find more information about this stuff. But this is very much just to get you started with the game and ever so slightly a little bit further in. So without further ado, let's get started with this. Alright, so number one on our list is actually the easiest and the most simple summoning you can do for yourself, and this one is technically just a pet, but they will still help you out. They are not a beast of burden, but it is the easiest and probably the first familiar you'll get in this game, and that is Cockatrice. And you'll get those through these things, rotten eggs. So you'll see that after, well, I don't know, about every 50 eggs or so, your chickens will drop a rotten egg. What you can do with them is just like regular chickens, you'll just throw them on the ground, and eventually you'll get one of these guys. And they will hatch as younglings at first, but within enough time, they have the same growth span as chickens. So if you just give them enough time, they will eventually grow into adults. And they are super, aside from super energetic, they are also super handy, especially when starting off and you don't have a lot of good gear and and you just kind of need some way to survive big waves of monsters and you're trying to clear out dungeons. These guys are an absolute lifesaver. I used to use them all the time, and they are super easy to get and super easy to maintain. They feed off of rotten flesh, and that is about all you need to take care of these guys. They will do the rest for you. They do have the option to sit, patrol, and follow. And follow, they will do just that. They will follow you anywhere you go. And patrol, they'll patrol the small area from where they were sitting. And aside from that, the only other knowledge that I have on them is that they can't really swim. They will sink, and they don't teleport as well as wolves do, where they can just teleport across the map. So the easiest way to just get a lot of Cockatrice at once is to build a small chicken farm. I have this right here, and they drop eggs into hoppers, and you know, they just kind of drop it into a treasure chest that I have down below in my storage, and that's pretty much the easiest way to get multiple eggs. And as you can see, I just have a plentiful of them. They're not like the most common thing in the world, but if you just AFK for a little bit or you just go on an adventure, this will fill up pretty quickly and you'll have plenty of Cockatrice in no time. Alright, so number two on our list is actually, as you probably guessed it, was this summoning staff. So with the summoning staff, this is not the standard one you get whenever you first craft it. This is actually an augmented one so that it lasts longer. So for summoning staffs, they will probably be your second form of summoning companions. They are still really rather easy to make. You only need an ender pearl, a bone, and a gold ingot, which are actually really common to find in RLcraft. Especially if you go dungeon hunting a lot, you will definitely not come across any shortage of any of these three. So the first thing you'll get is this summoning staff. It's a regular summoning staff, and it will deplete just like any other weapon. And the thing about the summoning staff is that it requires mana, and depending on the monster you're summoning, it will deplete it at a certain rate, but you'll also regain your powers just over time. It's a very slow process, but it takes a little bit. Also, if you want to set a certain familiar to be summoned, all you have to do is go to the Soulgazer icon up here, and under the summoning tab, you'll click that. And then depending on what monsters you've come across and defeated in your world, you will be able to select different monsters. Do note that you do have tabs to store which monsters you prefer, and whichever tab you have highlighted. So mine right now is this Aegis, and he's green. He's highlighted green. But if I wanted to change it, I could simply click on one of these, and I could select the monster that I want. And again, these guys start to open up the more monsters you clear out in the wilderness. and they will simply just become unlocked that way. You can also change their color, which I'm sure that certain monsters really doesn't affect them. But yes, and then also on the left hand corner you can see how much power or mana they cost. Here it's called summoning focus. So in the corner you can see how much summoning focus they will cost, and on the top you can see how much you actually have, and so that's how much it'll be required to summon these guys. So like I kind of showed before, you will have more than one option. Once you get this initial summoning staff, you can actually craft it into 4 different summoning staffs. So first you have the blood summoning staff, which will actually take health away from you in order to summon more minions. So this is a give or take. If you're being safe about the way you're dealing with dungeons, then this would be an okay staff for you, especially if you've progressed further in the game where you actually have multiple hearts. Like for example, I have 22 hearts, so it wouldn't affect me too much. But if you're beginning game and you still have only like 10 to 15 hearts, I would not recommend this staff for you. And then not to mention it's a little bit harder to get, especially since you need nether wart and a diamond. The other summoning staff is a stable summoning staff. Okay, so for this one, your minions will actually stay on the battlefield longer, but it will cost you more mana. So usually that just means that if a monster requires more summoning focus to summon, you will probably not be able to summon as many of them as you can. So right now, I can summon 2 Aegises, but if I were to get this staff in particular, it would probably mean I could only get 1. And this one requires a gold ingot and a diamond staff. And then the other one is the savage summoning staff. And this one, you can actually summon multiple minions at a time, but for only half the time. And this one is also a little bit hard to get just because you need gas tiers, which means you need to enter the nether. Or you can get lucky and just find them in treasure chests. But either way, that's another option you can go with. Or the last one is the sturdy summoning staff, which is the one I'm holding. And this one, the staff itself just lasts longer. And it costs focus. Which is why I'm limited to 2 Aegises. Even though it costs 2 as from the regular summoning staff. Because I don't want to keep building summoning staffs, I build the sturdy one. And this way it'll ensure me that I get more for my money. Onward to the next one. Alright guys, so the next ones on our list are ones that are a little bit more straightforward, but they're also a little bit harder to get. And that's going to be the soulstones. I have particularly the shadow soulstone and the freshwater soulstones. Now, these are not the only ones. You can also get the mountain soulstone, the inferno soulstone, the demonic soulstone, and of course the 2 that I have, the shadow soulstone and the freshwater soulstone. So these are a bit harder to get. They're rare drops from enemies. And what they do is they summon a companion or a pet for you, essentially, within that category that the soulstone pertains to. So for example, for me, whenever I summoned a shadow soulstone, what I got was my shade, was this guy right here. And so he was one of the monsters that just happened to spawn from the shadow soulstone. Now, I do not know the rates in which each monster spawns differently, but whenever you do summon them, they do become Beast of Burdens, and you can hold shift and then right click on them to access this menu right here, and they can hold items for you. You can put armor on them, you can put a saddle on them, and you can put a chest. And so that's pretty much that. You can also ride them. They are mount, and I guess just depending on which one you get, they will have different stats. But yes, that is it for the soulstone part of it. And do note that the elemental soulstones will only drop from monsters within that elemental. So if you kill a monster that is in the shadow category, then they will drop a shadow soulstone, and then you have a higher chance of getting one of these from higher tier monsters. And that is how I got 2 shadow soulstones, was from killing monsters inside this category. But again, they are pretty rare to come across, but if you do happen to come across one, I believe you can summon more than one, and they will kind of follow you around, and you can command them to do quite a few things. Alright guys, so number 4 on our list is going to be a Soulgazer. Now, Soulgazer you might have seen, and it's sort of an icon here in RLcraft, but it is also super important, especially when it comes to summoning. So Soulgazers will do a few things. So if you just read the description, it says, use on a creature to add to the bestiary. To open your bestiary, either click on the bestiary tab of your survival inventory or press the bestiary key set via your control menus. So that is a lot of information to take in. So I think the most important part is not only will it add it to your bestiary, which just means it'll have it in some sort of codex. You can have it here, here, there. But it is also what you can craft with this thing. As far as familiars goes, 2 uses for this, but I'm just going to show you the summoning things you can do with it. So, and I'm actually going to do it myself, but you can either craft soul keys, which you use on altars in order to summon boss-like monsters, and you essentially just use them to fight monsters for resources and stuff. There's a big event on it, and you gotta go find the altars. And again, if you need more description on that or more information, I will post the link on the description bar down below. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create the soulstone. And the soulstone is used to tame creatures to bind it to your spirit, allowing you to summon and dismiss it anywhere at any time. And so I have the materials. Kind of sad that I have to give up 4 diamonds for this because now I'm down to 8. But anyways. So the cool thing about this Soulgazer is that you only need to build it once and you will always just kind of have it. So it's probably one of the neatest items in the games because I've crafted 2 things thus far and I have yet to use it up. So that's the pretty awesome thing about it. But now with the soulstone, when it says tame creatures, it is actually a monster, or like the description says, creature that you have tamed out in the wild and it has become friendly to you now. So this is not something you summon per se. This is something you go out into the wild and you give it treats. Like the most common one you can get is a wolf, and that one is an animal you tame, and you can bind this in order for you to summon it at any time. So with that said, yes, you can summon several or at least one of the monsters you have tamed, but it is limited on how many times you can do that, and it will regenerate over time, just like the summoning staff will regenerate its summoning focus. So it's the same thing with these with the soulstone. And I currently do not have any creatures that I have tamed, so unfortunately I can't show you that right now, but that's essentially what you would do. Also, if you want to get these things, like your pets, to sort of follow you, or if you see them disappear, you can always go to this menu where your pets are, and down here you can actually ask them to teleport, and they will teleport straight to you. So currently this is my only pet, but if I were to per se use other soulstones, they will be stored in that, and you can have multiple pets at a time. I just choose to only have this guy because it's hard enough to keep up with this guy as it is. But if in the future, once I have more soulstones, I will be summoning more. And I do plan on eventually training or taming a dragon, and I have found a griffin. I just gotta find the food for it. You can also tame creatures out in the wild, up to and including dragons. It's just very difficult. So the way to tame creatures out in the wild, and like I said, the most common creature you tame out in the wild is a wolf, but the way to do it in RLcraft with different monsters is to give them treats. So you will make treats depending on what the monster is, and that is the way you get it to become friendly with you. Right, and it's just a matter of finding what you want to tame and then finding the treat for it. There's a lot of monsters you can tame. Not every monster is tameable, but if you do find one that you like and it's in this list, then by all means feel free to browse it. I'm not going to go every single one of them with in this video because that would make for a really long video, but yeah. So treats is another way to get familiars and monsters to follow you around. And then once you do have a tamed monster, you can use the soulstone on it and you can summon it at will as if it were your pet. Alright, so the very last thing we're going to talk about is this summoning pedestal. So the summoning pedestal acts as a portal, a unlimited source of energy that just allows you to summon familiars and pets at your will. And it is, in comparison, it's kind of like the nether portal or the end portal, but the only things coming in and out are your familiars. And you can use it to summon as many as you'd like. So I'm just going to read you the description real quick. It says, this pedestal is able to create a constant summoning portal that will summon the selected minion. Some pedestals can be player owned and some cannot. So what that means is you can own one. If you're in a multiplayer world, someone else can own it. And you can also find these in the wilderness. So if you own it, the portal will look green. If another player owns it, the portal will look blue to you. And if it's out in the wilderness, you will find it in a red color. So again, for kind of obvious reasons, I guess if you don't watch my videos, I'm not that rich because I started not too long ago, but I do not have 3 diamond blocks and 4 golden blocks and a nether star to craft this thing. So it is very, very resource intensive, and it's, I think, very end game-ish, unless you're farming for diamonds like 24/7. But I personally like to go on dungeon hunts, so this is not something I can craft at the moment, but it would be very useful, especially once you accumulate a good amount of pets. Alright guys, well, I hope you found this tutorial helpful, especially if you are starting off and you want a companion and you just have no idea or had no idea on how to get any of them. Hopefully this video was sort of an insider on how to get followers, pets, and companions. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. If you like this video, click the like button down below. And if you want more tutorials videos or just playthroughs, then feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.